Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. That's happening this March 25th of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful start to your week. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend. I know I didn't make a weekend video. I kind of just took the weekend off. I probably would have made it earlier, but I ended up like working like all day Saturday at like a really cool event and stuff. And then Sunday I just kind of chilled. Probably should have made this video even a little bit earlier, considering the fact that this lunar eclipse is happening pretty much overnight. So apex is like I think like at 3 o'clock in the morning or something on the East Coast. And I think it's like the moon starts to enter the Earth's shadow like around like a little bit after midnight. Like, so honestly, probably by the time I finish making this video, because it's already 11:55 p.m. So I'm making this like right before the eclipse actually happens. So I know a lot of other people probably already made their videos for the eclipse and stuff. So I'm a little bit late to the party, you know what I'm saying? Even did a whole Libra thing and freaking lint rolled my hat because there was some lint on it. So that's very Libra of me. I do have Venus in Libra myself. But in any event, let's talk about this eclipse. Um, we are entering eclipse season, of course. Whenever you get like one eclipse, you know there's going to be another one that follows. Sometimes three follow if it's like rare, but it does have sometimes it does happen where you can have three eclipse follow in a row like that. So, but we are entering into an eclipse season where we're going to have this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. Then, of course, we're going to have the total solar eclipse in Aries. This is a prenumeral eclipse, so it's not going to be the moon's not going to enter the full shadow of the Earth, but part of it, a good bit of it, though. I was even doing a little bit of research to see like just how far, like how close, the moon has to be to the nodes for it to be a total eclipse. And it seems like it's usually within like 3 degrees or so. I have to play around with it and kind of look at them to see how close it would have to be. But it seems like 3 degrees makes it more on the total side. I don't know exactly if it after you get to like 6 7 8 9 plus degrees when it becomes prenumeral, but it's all calculations and stuff. Now of course, like I said, this one's happening in Libra, right? I'm gonna go ahead and just present the chart to you guys, you know and I will channel a little bit too with this one, and I'll even pull up like the degrees and stuff like that too. So I'm gonna put this at now and then put this on hours. So now, of course, at the current moment, at the time of me making this, 11:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have that moon there at 3 degrees. So it's literally like pretty much full. Like it is pretty much full. It's about 100. It's 179 degrees away. Well, 110. Well, technically, like 181 degrees away from the sun at this moment. So it's almost 180. This is going to kick off a lot of interesting things. It's almost like this is like the real start of the new year. Of course, we did just start off with the new astrological year when the sun entered into Aries, if you will. But this is kind of like the real start of the new year. And generally, honestly, the new moon in Aries you can consider to be the true start of the new year, the true start of like the new energy, if you will. Just because it is fresh, and of course, new moons are all about planting seeds. This is a full moon, so it's a major release point. It's not really especially with an eclipse, probably not the best time to start anything new or to initiate anything new. But it's definitely a moment where we're going to release and kind of be in a little bit more of a reflective kind of state. Makes sense. Now, with the new moon in Aries being what I feel is going to be the new start of the year, this full moon is in many ways going to be like a prologue. The prologue is going to provide a lot of necessary context to what the new year is going to be really about. Things are going to pop off with that solar eclipse. So if we're going to be in a prologue for 2 weeks, what we see that's going to happen over these 2 weeks is simply context for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. And I can guarantee you that what we're going to see over the next 2 weeks is going to seem like it's part of the main story. And there's going to be definitely some important details that we're going to need to pay attention to, but don't be surprised if what comes after the total solar eclipse makes what happens in the next 2 weeks look like child's play in comparison. I just want to prepare you guys for that. Um, this eclipse here happening in Libra, it's here with the South Node, right? It's here with the South Node. So we got to think about it. We haven't had a South Node lunar eclipse in 18 years, right? This is the last time we could have even had this. So it's been a while since we've even experienced this kind of energy. It was a whole different world back then. It was like 2006 would have been the last time that we even would have seen something like this. And I like showing it to you guys in real time so y'all can actually see. We're going to follow that node, of course. And yeah, I mean, let's see, 2006, we see the moon was in Aries. Okay, yeah, so the moon was here in Aries, and then if we moved it forward, let's move it forward like a week, another week, another week. So yeah, I mean, the last time that we could have even seen something like this, and I don't even know if this would have counted as an eclipse because it's still in the sign, but it's a little far away. But this probably was an eclipse. I'd imagine this was. So yeah, 2006 was the last time that we could have even seen a lunar eclipse with the South Node in Libra. Saturn was in Leo, right? Pluto was back in Sag. Chiron and Neptune were in Aquarius. Uranus was in Pisces. There's a whole different world back then. An entirely different world. Jupiter was in Scorpio. Like, now there's a lot that has happened, of course, since then. So this is, and with it being with the South Node, this definitely can talk about, golly, please don't go back to your exes. This is like ripe energy for exes coming back into the picture. But with it being a lunar eclipse, this is the sort of transit that will X them out of your life like for good. Or it should X them out for good. Just because it's an eclipse, it's a powerful moment where it really cuts off the energy like it's a hard line. That's what eclipses do. It's like a really hard line. Generally, these are the moments where there are timeline shifts. This is the moment where people literally will just go on two separate timelines. These are major moments, major karmic moments. So something like this, and the South Node is here in Libra, like I said, it's opposing this eclipse is going to be opposed to Chiron, right? It's going to oppose Mercury right after the eclipse and Eris. So this is definitely, like I said, stirring up some wounds here, some triggers with that Chiron. Mercury is slowing down in Aries. It's not moving that fast. We got to remember Mercury is going to retrograde in Aries this year. So it's going to be retrograding here very, very soon, right? So it's a weird eclipse because we're trying to put things together. We're trying to figure things out. We're wanting to move things forward. We're wanting to take action and initiate stuff. But now we have, of course, Mars that has shifted into Pisces. So the ruler of Aries, where the sun is, Chiron, Mercury, is now in water. So it's like your flame is kind of like it's put out a little bit, right? It's like trying to light a match underwater. Okay? It's not going to work unless you're using some type of magic. And with Mars being in Pisces, yeah, there probably is a way to light fire underwater if you have the imagination and the belief that you can do it. But also, it's tough there, especially with Saturn there. Mars is heading towards Saturn, the leader, if you will, the boss. And Mars is, like I said, the foot soldier, and he's about to make his report to Saturn. Yeah, like it's not necessarily going to be easy here. So It's just like I said, it's a weird eclipse. It's happening in Libra, so it's a sign of relationships, relatability, weighing things out, judgments. This is a lunar eclipse where we gotta drop our judgments, especially on past shit. You know, with the South Node there, this is not a time to be passing judgment too much and judging our situation harshly and thinking that we have things all figured out. But I guarantee a lot of people are still going to be doing this with this eclipse. Now, of course, you want to see that eclipse is going to apex, like I said, 5:09, 5:07. So, yeah, pretty much at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? The witching hour, if you will. So, it'll apex at 5 degrees. Now, five is an interesting number. You know, we have 5 fingers, we have 5 toes, right? So 5 is in many ways like a number of freedom, if you will. 5 is the number of Mercury. It's very mercurial. You know, 5 fingers, it's not that you can't pick up things with 4 fingers, but it's a little bit harder. There's something about having the 5 that makes things a little bit easier, especially with this opposable thumb, if you will. So 5, in many ways, like I said, it represents freedom, because it is a mercurial degree. You know, it's about our peripheral. It's about the things that we can pick up and touch and hold in our hands. You know, there's going to be things that come up about the mind and communication today with this sort of degree. And like I said, most of us are going to be waking up with this energy. Of course, if you're in Europe, you're starting your morning with this eclipse, right? If you're a little bit further east than that, you know, this is going to be in your, of course, your later morning, if you will, maybe early afternoon or so, or probably actually maybe towards the nighttime, actually, for some of you guys, if you're like on like maybe like Asia and stuff like that too. But here in America, though, we're going to be waking up after the eclipse, right? Some people might be up at this time if you're like hustling and shit like that. You know, some people, the crazy people that wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and, you know, do like their marathon runs and stuff like that, might be waking up with this energy. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of those eclipses that, you know, it's going to be weird because I think it's going to be kind of sneaky powerful, but I think it's going to be kind of eclipsed. No pun intended. I think it's going to be kind of eclipsed in its influence by the total solar eclipse, just considering the power of that eclipse. But I think this lunar eclipse is going to be very, very important because, like I said, I think it's going to key us into a lot of the context of what this year is going to be about. You know, and we're probably going to see a lot, like I said, we're going to see a lot of this context kind of play out on Monday itself, you know, but then over the next 2 weeks, we're going to really see it played out. It's almost going to be sort of like Monday is going to be like a snapshot of what the 2 weeks is going to be like. And then we kind of live through the 2 weeks. And then we get all the context for what in the world 2024 is going to be really about in this new astrological year. And then we get to the total eclipse. And then that's when things are going to pop. So, you know, this gives me definite precursor energy. Definitely gives me precursor energy. Now, of course, as we move throughout the day, people are going to be waking up on the East Coast here when the moon hits about 7 degrees or so. Well, probably a little bit earlier, right? But, you know, 6 degrees, 7 degrees, we're going to see, of course, as the sun's coming up, you know, we're going to see Mars rising on the horizon, but Pluto actually rises beforehand, right? So we're going to have Mars, we're going to have Saturn, we're going to have Venus. So Venus is the morning star right now, right? So we're going to see that moon travel throughout the day. We're going to see it make some aspects. We're going to see it make a quincunx over to Saturn. You know, that's going to be more in the afternoon, around 5:04 p.m. So we do get that awkward stare over to Saturn, right? And Saturn in Pisces has definitely been trying to organize to the best of its ability all of the weird extrasensory information that has been coming at us pretty much full speed, nonstop, 24/7. Like that's pretty much what this has been. A lot of extrasensory information. And this moon in Libra is going to do its best to kind of sort things out, because that's what Libra does. It sorts things out, it weighs things, but it's going to be awkward to do so, especially coming off of an eclipse. Because our emotions may be like, well, I feel like this thing makes sense, or I vibe with this, but then there's also this thing over here that kind of makes sense as well. Trying to weigh these things out, it's going to be a bit awkward, especially with an eclipse like this, that, like I said, is going to cut some of the energy. And like I said, with something like this, I've been saying it in some of my past videos too, there are going to be people that simply walk out of your life. And there are going to be new people that come in, especially with it being Libra, and it's all about relationships, and it doesn't have to be necessarily romantic either. It could be friends, colleagues, different things like that. But this is the sort of energy, and maybe it takes a while for it to build up. Maybe it takes a couple of weeks until the solar eclipse. But this is definitely an initiate point where the release begins. And like I said, you're going to see some people walk out of your life. But then that's, of course, going to invite new people in. And we have to consider that. So, like I said, this moon is definitely going to try and figure some things out with this weird stare to Saturn at 12 degrees. 1 + 2 is 3. So it's a very Jupiter-like energy, very Sag-like energy with this. So it's going to come down to belief. So we may be trying to sort out our belief in what it is that we are perceiving with all this extrasensory Pisces energy. Am I perceiving this thing? Am I perceiving that thing? What are the weights of these things? Where is the value here? So it's going to be weird. It's going to feel a bit awkward, probably because these could be things that we've never experienced before. And I think that's the thing about this, is like, we don't have a lot of context for some of the things that we're going through, unless you read and look into history and different things. But we don't have a lot of context for what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a lot of context for what it's like to have Mars pass over Pluto, and Venus pass over Pluto, and Mercury pass over Pluto, and Aquarius, because we haven't seen that in 200 plus years. We remember the sun hit it at 29 degrees. It wasn't even at Aquarius. So we're not going to get the sun until next year, crossing over Pluto. We don't know what it's like to consciously know what an eclipse is like to have with, that's not true, because Chiron was discovered in like the 70s, I think. Yeah, Chiron was discovered in like the 70s. So it's interesting how, I want to say Chiron was discovered when, let's see, when was Chiron discovered? Because I'm pretty sure Chiron was discovered when it was in Aries, 1977, right? So pretty sure. Where is Chiron? There's Chiron. 1977. So, yeah, Chiron was in Aries that year. So, yeah, this is the first time in our consciousness, if you really think about it, that we're having eclipses in this spot, with Chiron and Aries at the same time, since we've known about Chiron, that is, right? So that's a whole nother thing. So I knew I was going somewhere with that point. I was like, wait, is that true? I'm like, yeah, no, that is true. Since Chiron was only discovered in 1977, right? So that's the thing about this. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of firsts, a lot of new things that we are experiencing as a collective. Not that these things haven't happened before, but we don't have a lot of context for it. So to navigate these things, this is why this kind of energy is it definitely levels the playing field, because I think a lot of times we can get in our own head thinking that certain people are better or more ahead or more established or more whatever it is, more equipped, but no one is any more equipped than you are. No one is really any more equipped than you are. Now, I think it comes down to, the content of your character and your drive and your passion and the love that you feel to make things happen. I think that stuff is very important too. And maybe in those areas where we may differ, but as far as like actually experiencing the energy for the first time, we are all on a level playing field. So how do you respond to this kind of energy? Because anytime you get a full moon, it's all about your response. Typically, when a full moon, people tend to go crazy. Where do you think the word lunatic comes from? Luna, moon, lunar. Yeah, it's pulling on the tides, it's pulling on the water. We are mostly water, so it's pulling on our energy. These are the things that we have to consider, right? So now, like I said, let me put this back to where it was. I was at, what, 12? And then, of course, we're going to see it conjunct the nodes like right at the end of the day. So it won't quite get to opposing Chiron, but Mercury does begin its conjunction to Aries. So, in fact, that actually starts a little earlier in the day when Mercury hits the 24th degree, which is going to be pretty early in the morning. So I really would not be surprised if we get some sort of, and you gotta remember, Eris is the planet of discord, and you have Mercury, which is about communication, and this is Aries, and Aries is war. I would not be surprised if we not necessarily get a declaration of war, but definitely some type of incendiary kind of tossing a chair into the middle of a crowd kind of moment. I would not be surprised if we get something like that on Monday. Especially with a lunar eclipse involved too, it's going to make the energy much more incendiary, much more inflamed. So I really would not be surprised if we see something like that. I don't know where exactly in the world it will happen, but there's definitely going to be some type of announcement, declaration of some sort that's going to insinuate war, and it's going to be a little bit more intense because this is a lunar eclipse, right? It's not just going to be your run-of-the-mill 21st century war stuff. It's going to be like because we see this stuff all the time, right? But this is going to be something that's going to be have a bit more of a serious vein to it. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. A lot of other people may bullshit you guys too. Oh, this eclipse is about releases and stuff. It'll give you an opportunity to release different relationships and blah blah blah. No, like this is some serious shit. Like this is not some like elementary school shit. Okay. All right. We're dealing with some serious and intense energies. So what do we do about it? You know what I'm saying? What do we do about it? How do you navigate this energy? Well, of course, it's important to see where these energies are in your chart, if you will, to see how the eclipse is going to be affecting you. So if we look at just, if we just go sign by sign real fast, okay, so Libra, this is your first house. This is going to definitely really help you to revamp who you are as a person and your character. Probably will be releasing different personality traits that no longer serve you and different ways of acting that probably was having you be really inauthentic, like very inauthentic. So Libra, this is going to actually give you an opportunity for you to really show people who you really are. And it probably will piss some people off because you're not going to just roll over and take it anymore. You're not just going to be a pancake anymore. You actually are going to, some of you guys are actually going to stand up for yourself for the first time in years. Libra. So that's what this would give you an opportunity to do, right? Virgo, this is your second house. This is going to help you to release some blockages when it comes to your self-worth issues, financial things. And it probably has a lot to do with certain relationships that could be holding you back. Maybe the person that keeps asking for money just disappears and stuff like that. But this is definitely going to have you release probably a lot of different perceptions when it comes to your relationships and the people that actually see your worth and see your value. I think you've been kind of hung up on wanting certain people to see the value and worth that you bring to the table, and you've been kind of giving and giving and giving and kind of wondering and just kind of pondering how come someone doesn't get your value and see it. This full moon lunar eclipse gives you an opportunity to simply not give a fuck anymore. Virgo, I'm not going to lie, you're not going to necessarily care anymore what some people think about you, and you're not going to let what they think dictate the way that you feel about yourself and your self-worth and value. Leo, this is your third house. So this is definitely going to have a lot to do with your mind. You're going to be releasing what I believe are some self-limiting beliefs that you've been kind of playing on loop in your head, about, the way that you relate to the world around you, the way that you relate to the people in your day-to-day reality. This is going to help you to release some major blockages so you can begin to, really show people who you really are, Leo. Really start to like shine bright. But I feel like this is going there's like a pressure valve that's going to kind of go off here for you, Leo, and you're kind of be finally released, from some of these inauthentic connections and mirrors. There probably going to be some mirrors in your life that just kind of just disappear. Mirrors that present themselves as relationships probably from the past, people that may kind of come back up every so often, whatever like that may leech off your energy. Leo, this will give you an opportunity to finally let that shit go, and you're going to find that these people they just go. Maybe they go to a different job, or maybe if it's at work, maybe these people just dip and go to a different place, like a different job or a different department or something. But this is going to give you an opportunity to kind of see who's like in your rep vicinity, and kind of just see, it's like, okay, who's really about it, who's coming with me on this journey, who am I actually vibing with, and who's not, who's being fake, who's being two-faced and shit. Cancer, this is your fourth house. So this is definitely going to have a lot to do with like your family and your home life. So there have been weird patterns that have been going on in your home life that are needing to be released and transformed. So that's really what this is all about. And this is definitely about your emotional foundation, Cancer. This will probably give you an opportunity, especially with this being a South Node in Libra, to kind of go back into the past, go back into your childhood, and to kind of, do a bit of the shadow work and kind of work through some of these issues that have been kind of plaguing you and holding you back. Maybe even helping you to kind of look at your childhood from a different lens, so you can finally move on. You can finally move on and start to really connect with people, because I think you're not going to really be able to connect with people, especially like on a one-on-one relationship type thing, especially romantically. I feel even you're not going to really be able to do that until you release some of this emotional baggage that you're carrying from your childhood. Gemini, this is your fifth house. This is going to release some creative blockages. I feel like, Gemini, you probably have been in a bit of a rut creatively, or not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with this eclipse here, it's definitely going to release that. So it's going to allow you to be very, very creative. It's going to allow you to be, find like these new passion projects, if you will. This could be a great opportunity for you to explore some writing or make some music or something like that. Like, I mean, Kendrick Lamar's a Gemini, right? And he just freaking sent out a diss track. I haven't listened to it yet, but I mean, I think it's crazy how Kendrick Lamar dropped that literally right before this eclipse. And of course, it's like, I don't know what his rising is, but if you just take his sun into consideration, if we do solar houses, this is in his fifth house and it's South Node. That's like classic diss track energy. Moon, South Node, eclipse, Sun in Gemini. So Geminis, you guys are probably coming for some people. I'm not gonna lie. You know, But I think this will definitely help you from a creative standpoint. Maybe there have been some blockages here, and maybe it's just like past shit that's been kind of getting in the way. Things that you probably have already weighed out, and you continue to weigh them out. And it's like, well, it's time for you to actually just go for it, explore, and be creative, and kind of get even messy with it. And it's like, try not to be super perfect about it. It makes sense though, Gemini, because Saturn has just entered it's in your 10th house. So it kind of makes sense that you're almost trying to perfect your creativity and your imagination. But I think this lunar eclipse will finally allow you to really utilize your imagination to the best of your ability. Taurus, this is your 6th house. So this is definitely having a lot to do with like your day-to-day reality, your service to people. Full moon lunar eclipse here. Of course, Jupiter and Uranus is here in your sign, and the moon will, of course, quincunx Jupiter that's in your sign. Yeah, this is definitely going to, release you from some patterns, I guess you would say, in your day-to-day reality, and maybe some habits that you sort of have developed that you might have developed them to protect yourself at one point. I'm hearing, or you developed them because it's what made sense and what was brought peace at one point, but it no longer brings peace anymore, Taurus. So you finally have to let things go. It's like I feel like Tauruses are having to like release like a habit that once made them happy and once gave them like comfort, but it's no longer really doing that. It's actually more of a detriment than it is to be a positive thing. So Taurus, you're having to definitely release something like that. Health issues potentially could come up with a lunar eclipse here. Although I'm not, even though the 6th house is health, I'm not really feeling it's health issues. I think it's more of like a habit that you're having to release and give up so you can like finally move forward. Aries, this is your 7th house. This is your relationships. This is your mirror. This is the place that you can kind of struggle at because it's your opposite sign, right? So it's like two sides of the same coin, anytime that you have opposition energy, right? So yeah, this is really, like I said, it's building up to the total solar eclipse. It's going to be happening in your sign. So for the next 2 weeks, you're going to be dealing a lot with a lot of the social aspects of things as the moon moves into Scorpio and then Sag and then Cap, and then of course it's going to get over that hump, and then it's going to come more into a lot of the inner work, if you will, a lot of the inner worlds and spirituality stuff and your hidden zones and your blind spots, if you will. So this lunar eclipse is definitely going to be keying you into the relationships in your life and having you really pay attention to what are some of your subconscious triggers when these relationships, what are some of like just the way that you are in these relationships, and kind of pay more attention to what are some of the subconscious actions that you take, what are the sort of unconscious actions that you take. It's going to start to kind of key you in on into a lot of those things. Of course, like I said, you have the North Node in your sign. The Sun, of course, is here. So happy birthday to you all. And you have Chiron there. You have Mercury there, and Aries. You guys have a fair amount of energy, but it's a different kind of Aries energy. It's not. It's like if you feel like you have the power, but it does feel a little bit. It does feel a little bit gnarly. It does feel a little bit unhinged, right? This is like it does kind of feel like with Naruto having Kurama inside of him, the nine-tailed fox, and it kind of feels like the nine-tailed fox wants to come out, but it does feel a little bit chaotic. So it's like you're having to learn how to kind of work with that inner animal, if you will, that inner animal spirit, and kind of control it in a way to where you release the power when you need to release it, Aries, but you can't just let it fully out, because if you let it fully out before you're prepared, then you will find yourself wrecking shit. So like I said, I felt like Aries is just like you're feeling powerful, but it's a bit unhinged. So you're having to figure out how in the world to like actually control this. And of course, Saturn being in your 12th house during all this, yeah, this is definitely you're learning how to control like this inner spirit, if you will, these inner energies. Pisces, this is happening in your 8th house. So Pisces, this is definitely having a lot to do with like a psychological nature, shared resources, fun Scorpio 8th house stuff. Pisces, this could be like where weird shit that you've kept in your closet or whatever like that starts to come out, but things are sort of, it's an eclipse, so it's going to, like I said, it's going to, the moon's going to be lit, but there's going to be covered in shadows. So these are going to be definitely like some really deep shadows that Pisces have been trying to keep under wraps are going to be bubbling through the surface, and you're going to try and like really close it real fast. This is literally like, geez, like Pisces, this is like, please don't like hide people in the closet. Like this is like Pisces, if you're like cheating right now and you hide someone in the closet, they are going to get found out. You know, it's an eclipse, but this is literally like the moment where it's like you're like, it's like I see Pisces like, and then I have like the closet, and they're like, oh, nothing's in here, what are you talking about? And something's trying to get out and shit. That's like all of your shadows, that's all of that weird psychological stuff that could be your demons, stuff like that are trying to come out, and you're going to be trying to hold on to this thing. It's like, oh wait, there's nothing here. It's like you're trying to put a lid on Pandora's box, and it ain't gonna work, Pisces. So it's just probably best to just let that shit go. It's probably best to just let it out, let it go. Pisces, y'all may be a bit emotional with this one. It's gonna get a little bit deep for you guys, but it's gonna be necessary for you to kind of just let that out, because the sooner that you let this out, the sooner the healing begins. Like the true deep healing begins. But Pisces, you're not going to be able to do that unless you kind of just get out of your own way. And I know it's tough with Mars in your sign, Saturn in your sign. Venus is there, which is nice because Venus likes to be there, and it's coming off of a nice sextile to Jupiter, and it's getting ready to sextile Uranus. But, you know, it's still, and your ruling planets in your sign. But so Pisces and Aries are kind of similar. They're kind of like, there's some power there, but it's a bit unhinged. So it's like, I think that's interesting how that works, because I like to call this alpha and omega energy. Anytime that they're signs next to each other, I call it alpha and omega. So it's like your rising is like your alpha, and your 12th house is like your omega. So this is like alpha omega energy. And since this is the natural first house and the natural 12th house, there's a lot of alpha and omega energy. That's why it feels like a lot of things are beginning and a lot of things are ending at the same time. It's very, very interesting. Aquarius, this for you is happening in your 9th house. So what you are going to be releasing a lot of beliefs, self-limiting beliefs, being that this is an eclipse too. This can deal with, you know, if it's, we're looking at the relationships in our life. This can definitely be people that will just kind of dip, but it's different from Leo. This is not just people moving to another department. This is people moving to another state altogether. Like, that's what this would be. Like, someone in your life may just end up dipping and going to a whole another state, because this is 9th house. It's just travel kind of energy, right? So just be prepared for that. You know, this could also be people coming in from a whole new place. Maybe, you know, maybe someone who's going to be really, really prevalent in your life, and you may not necessarily know, you may not become aware of it until the solar eclipse that happens in Aries, which happens to be your 3rd house, of course. But this could be someone decides to move to your local city or town, and they're from like a whole nother country or a whole nother state or something like that. Like, that's this kind of energy, Aquarius. So it's going to be a bit interesting for you guys. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of releasing as far as like the beliefs and the belief of different roles in relationships, and what I guess maybe are some of your expectations within relationships. I think it comes down to, it's like, you know, like I said, you are the water bearer, right? And you're constantly pouring in other people. But you have to ask yourself too, it's like, what about the people that are pouring into me? Or do I pour back into myself? You know, I think that's really important. I think Aquarius, what you kind of have to learn, and I think with the whole age of Aquarius, we're going to be learning that it's like Aquarius does have a lot to give, but a lot of times Aquarius will be putting on everyone else's masks before they put their own mask on. And when I'm referring to like in a plane, when like the masks come down, Aquarius will be helping everyone else out before they help themselves. But Aquarius, you're going to find that you are a lot more powerful, and you can be a lot more of that water bearer if you put your own mask on first. Capricorn, this is happening in your 10th house. So this is definitely going to have a lot to do with a lot of your workplace relationships, career, different things of that nature. You're going to be releasing a lot of these things, a lot of these blockages when it comes to like your career and legacy. I'm feeling more legacy though, and really seeing what relationships in your life are going to be supportive of the legacy that you're looking to build, and what relationships are not supportive of the legacy you're looking to build. You're going to be pondering over that over the next 2 weeks, and especially when the moon comes into your sign, you really want to start to key in on these things a lot more. And I think especially once the moon goes over Saturn, that's in your third house in Pisces, you're probably going to get some sort of aha moment about what those relationships are and who those people are that are going to, like I said, help you get to the next level, and other people that are going to keep you where you are, or the people that are going to actually bring you down from where you currently stand. So just be wary of that, Capricorn. Sag, this is happening in your 11th house. So this is going to be an interesting lunar eclipse for the Sages, I feel. This is, it takes on that weird, awkward Aquarian kind of vibe. So I feel like Sagittarius you're going to be it's going to be actually kind of interesting. I feel like this is actually going to make a lot of Sagittarius a lot more realistic about, some of their goals and the way that they kind of view humanity. I think this is going to actually, in a weird way, kind of take the rose tinted glasses off a lot of Sagittariuses. And not that you're not going to no longer just be happy go lucky and generally more on the positive side and generally more optimistic, but I think what this is going to do is that it's going to actually release some blinders for you, Sag, so you can actually see the world and what it is and not really lie to yourself and not really be naive about it. But it's also going to help you, hopefully, in a way to where you can actually be a lot more effective. You can actually be more of a visionary, you know. But because you have these rose tinted glasses on, and you generally can be very, very much so like almost like toxically positive and toxically optimistic, it's going to actually help to kind of get rid of that toxicity when it comes to your level of optimism. Now, some Sagittariuses, this may make you very, very pessimistic, but really what it's meant to do, what the universe is wanting you to do, is to, like I said, take the blinders off so you can see reality for what it is, but also still maintain the optimism that you have the vision to actually do something about it and not just kind of just brush things off. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Oh, it'll fix itself. Oh, it'll be all right. It's like Sagittarius, you have like a bunch of lights on your dashboard, a bunch of things that your vehicle needs to get fixed. And instead of just brushing it off, I'm like, oh, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. I know my vehicle. You actually get down, actually fix the vehicle, and it can run properly. And Scorpio, of course, this is happening in your 12th house. So this is definitely going to be very interesting spiritual moment for the Scorpios. I feel like this is definitely going to be a lot of karmic relationships that are going to pop up in your life. A lot of karmic relationships are probably going to come to a close or at least begin their closing period. Now you'll really start to see this more, what those relationships are. Of course, once we get to that new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and then when the moon is opposing you. But for Scorpio, this is definitely taking on a bit of a deeper, hidden spiritual nature. Probably a lot of hidden enemies for Scorpio are probably a lot of hidden enemies are going to be revealed to Scorpio. Like you're going to find people that you didn't know were talking shit about you, and you're going to learn about these people. A lot of people that have been praying for your downfall, Scorpio, you're going to learn about these people. And it's going to be kind of nice because you've been feeling this energy, but you haven't really necessarily known exactly where it's coming from. It's like it's been hard for you to pinpoint where the energy is coming from, Scorpio, but it's there. So it's going to be revealed to you. Now, what you do with that information is really up to you. Do you feel the need to confront these people, or do you feel the need to just remove yourself from the situation? Or honestly, with an eclipse, they probably will get removed from the situation for you, right? So that's kind of the interesting thing with the Scorpios. I do feel like it's a lot of like hidden enemy type stuff here. a lot of hidden stuff coming out of the woodworks. Maybe even Scorpio, you may end up finding people from your past that kind of come out of nowhere that end up confiding in you randomly. Like they may end up, you know, you may this could be like past people that had a crush on you suddenly coming out of nowhere and making themselves known to you. Now, because this is the South Node, I probably wouldn't recommend initiating anything right here. I would at least wait 2 weeks until the new moon solar eclipse, and even then, I would wait even longer, probably for like another full moon lunation until the moon comes all the way back around to Libra in April. So I really wouldn't do much with that if like a random crush from like high school comes back and like professes their love to you. Like it may seem kind of dreamy and 12th house Piscean, but I really would caution against that, especially considering the fact that your fifth house of romance does have Saturn there. Like, and Mars is there now, and Venus is there, so it may look pretty, but the Neptune's there too. So it's I don't know if I would really go there. Maybe entertain it for a little bit. Maybe just be friends for the first little bit, get to know the person. But I don't know if I would necessarily go super deep and really start to initiate things too crazy as far as that goes. So that's kind of how it's playing out for each of the 12 signs. Of course, if you'd like to know more in depth about affecting you personally, your personal chart, you can always get a reading with me. Of course, the link to my website is in the description below. Let's go ahead and before we end this, of course, I'm going to pull cards, but let's look at the Sabian symbol for this eclipse. So I'm going to remove that, stop share, present, share screen, Sabian symbols. And then we're going to go to Libra 5. Let's look this up and see what we got for it. A person watches their ideals taking a concrete form before their inner vision. This symbol is one of the few Sabian symbols that speaks directly of the idea of the law of attraction. As a person imagines, so does their outer reality take shape and bring them to what they were imagining. In your life, you'll find vivid examples of thoughts manifesting as things. Other times, they may happen without you really realizing it. Ideals are not only brought into the light of reality, but they are put to the test. This shows the ability to be able to visualize your thoughts and feelings, and it is possible to project your creative ideas out into the real world. What you think will happen can happen. Confrontations with objectives, meditations and affirmations. The need to be careful of one's wanted, of what, but the need to be careful of what's wanted. Writing and being published, designs, plans, the secret builders. Being dissatisfied with what was thought to be the ideal, not being careful of what you ask for, neurosis, focusing on the negative, therefore bringing the negative. I mean, it kind of makes sense, honestly. And if anything, like I said, this is a precursor to, what the year is going to be about. This is going to provide a lot of the context. I think the context here is that our ideals, our imaginations are very important. And the things that we continue to tell ourselves about ourselves and the world really do dictate and form the world around us. If you constantly tell yourself you're a piece of shit, you will find yourself in piece of shit situations. Bottom line, like point blank, period. Like, so this is a moment where this is why I'm saying that this is an eclipse that anytime that you get an eclipse, you have timeline shifts, you have timeline breaks where people go off on this timeline, someone goes off on that timeline. This is one of those moments where it's going to be like that. So you're going to have the people that see what's going on in the world and they're going to be like, fuck this shit, and they're going to go on the fuck this shit route, or you want to have people that see the world and be like, you know what, let's do something about this and create something better. That's also like I said, being dissatisfied with what was thought to be ideal. That's a huge one. That's a big one. That's a big pitfall, because I think this happens to a lot of people. Sometimes we think something is ideal, and maybe it was ideal for a while, but then it's no longer ideal. It's run its course. It's run its season. And then we get upset that it's no longer ideal. Well, we can just appreciate that it was ideal for a long time, but maybe it's no longer ideal. And we have to be okay with that. how do we change? How do we move forward? Those are the things that we're going to be asking ourselves here. So I think this is very applicable to this degree. I think this is very applicable to this eclipse. I think this is very applicable to the context that the new moon solar eclipse is going to be really, like I said, the real start of the new year. And this 2-week period is going to provide a lot of context to what in the world is going to be happening. People's vision for the world and their reality. What do people believe? What are their ideals? What are they imagining into their life? What are they law of attracting into their life because of their vibration? Because the law of vibration does precede the law of attraction. So where are you vibing? If you're vibing high, if you're vibing like, I am loved, I'm powerful, I'm connected, then you will law of attract yourself. Law of attract into your life situations that reflect where you are vibrating. So I think this, like I said, this is going to be key. It's like, where are you vibrating? Where are you vibrating? So let's go ahead and get into the cards. I don't know if y'all hear the wind out there, but it's howling. The wind is howling out there. All right. Okay, let's see what we have. I have the Seven of Moths in reverse. If there is a position that you feel like you're having to hold, this is like, there are positions that we feel like we have to hold that we don't have to hold anymore. Like, why are you holding that position? Why are you standing up for that thing? Why are you standing up for that belief? That's a belief that might be holding you back. It's like people are going to actually, this is a moment where people are actually going to wave the white flag on certain things. They probably don't see the energy anymore to continue fighting for certain things that aren't giving to them, aren't positive. But this can come in different ways. Some people may need to hold the line and they're not going to hold the line anymore. And there are going to be people that are going to stop holding the line because they realize that their beliefs on the matter have changed and they no longer believe in what they've been standing for. So there's going to be that as well. So you have to determine, and this is not just going to be one singular situation in your life. This is going to be multiple things. There are going to be some things in your life where you're going to hold the line. There are going to be other things in your life where it's time for you to, there's no reason fighting for that anymore because my beliefs on that have changed. It's up to you to determine, how that applies in different areas of your life. I have that followed by the Two of Beetles in reverse. Yeah, so we're still kind of weighing things out, but I think the Two of Beetles kind of just speaks to the natural, not everything is always going to be balanced and not everything's going to carry the same weight. Not everything's going to be equal. I think this is going to just really speak to is like there's so much focus on, wanting things to be equal. There's so much focus on that especially when it comes to like physical stuff. There's almost focus on equal, right? That we have forgotten what it is to truly be unique. We've forgotten about the spice of life. We're trying to make everything the same fucking color. We're trying to make everything the same when we realize that life is full of nuance. Life is full of, edges and curves and jagged stuff and smooth stuff. It has everything. That is what makes life balance unique, because so many things aren't the same, but they can come together in a beautiful picture, right? Puzzles, when you put like a puzzle together, it has like all these squiggly lines, but if all the puzzles were square, it's like trying to take a puzzle and make all of the puzzle pieces square. So in theory, you can put the puzzle together, but then the picture is off. it fits together, but then the picture is off and it's distorted and the reality is distorted. That's the thing about it. That's why puzzles are made the way that they are, because if they were all the same fucking shape, the picture will be off and distorted, or has a potential to be off and distorted, a greater, higher possibility of it being off and distorted. So then we have to appreciate all of the grooves and edges of life, the uniqueness of life, and stop trying to make everything equal. Not everything is equal, and that's okay, right? I have that followed by, tell me the last card for this. I have that followed by the Six of Bees in reverse. These are all reverse cards, Six of Swords in reverse. There's no running away from this. There's no running away from this. This is not a time to try and escape the situation, stick our head in the sand. It's a time to confront it head on. It's not a time to try and run away. This is a time to face it head on. Point blank period. Let's see what we have for the Oracle card. Give this a good shuffle. Ooh. Okay. It just kind of flipped open. So we got it. Compassion. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck. Compassion. The frequency of compassion supports our ability to stand by others without judgment and be the divine mediator between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, so that unconditional love can flow from source through our heart and into the world. We gotta learn how to have compassion for each other and not be so judgmental, especially with this lunar eclipse in Libra, which is the scales and judgment energy definitely comes up with this. But this is like, have compassion for yourself, have compassion for other people. Sometimes compassion presents itself as you removing yourself from people's life, or you're removing yourself from a situation. You know, it can be, compassion can be having that difficult conversation so you can finally release yourself and that other person of the energy or the blockages that are holding you back. You know, that's what compassion is, you know, holding that space so that true divine light can kind of come through you and out into the world. That's what it's about. We want to be a conduit of light. We want to be a conduit of love, but we can only do that if we, first of all, have compassion for ourselves and believe that we can actually do it. That Sabian symbol, it's like what you are is what you attract. So what you vibe is what you bring in. So if we are vibing in that place, if we're vibing in a place of compassion, then we will law of attract into our life a more compassionate world. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you, and it always has. That's going to do it for your full moon lunar eclipse in Libra astrology forecast for this Monday, March 25th, 2024. I trust that this message will assist you on your journey today and over the next 2 weeks. We are now in between eclipses, so energies are going to be a lot more intense, a lot more sensitive. Like I said, these next 2 weeks are going to be providing a lot of context to what 2024 is all about. If y'all like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you of course can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe because I do make, well, mostly daily content. I didn't make a video over the weekend, but pretty much I'm putting out like, 5 to 7 videos, at least forecasts a week. And then I have like the weekly tarot, which I just started up too. So I make a lot of content. So you want to catch that, definitely subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting eclipse for sure. So, but y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful Monday. Enjoy this moment, utilize this energy to the best of your ability, navigate it to the best of your ability, and remember to have compassion for yourself and have a little bit of grace on yourself and the world around you. Take care, stay blessed. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.